Hi everyone, Monique here, Intuitive Soul Savant. Namaste. I'm going to make this video now for the Pluto transit to the Sun. So I want to thank all the people that watched part one. I will put a link in the comments below this video because that was a great video too. And all the comments were so inspiring and encouraging, and people identified. So, you know, that's a wonderful thing when you're going through a Pluto transit, to know that you're not alone. So I just want to thank everybody from the bottom of my heart. I was so warmed by it and so encouraged by the beautiful comments from part one's video. Please subscribe to this channel. This is a new channel, and I'm just starting out. So I really would love that, and I think I'll continue on with the Pluto videos for a while. Hello to the Capricorns, the late degrees of Capricorns, and the early degrees of Aquarius, because you're going to be experiencing this wonderful journey of Pluto transiting to your natal sun. So just as a summary for part one, I shared about my 14 years experience to date. Pluto went into Capricorn in 2008. And as I said in that part one video, it hit immediately. Immediately there were consequences. So the areas that I touched on in the first part one video were loss, ego, family patterns, the inner child, addiction, workaholism, solitude, pain, and other aspects in our charts that help Pluto's helpers, these other aspects. So go and have a look at part one. I'm sure you'll love it, and you'll identify with the experiences that I shared. So I want to apologize to everyone who watched part one, because at the end of part one, it's interesting when we observe our own ego, because I was feeling so good in January, which was the first pass of Transit Pluto to my natal sun at 26 degrees 50 minutes in the 6th house of my astrology chart. That was the 28th of January. And obviously I was feeling really good and really chuffed with myself, believing that I had overcome this transit, and here I go, on and away. Well, it didn't happen that way at all, because in July, end of June, July, I crashed again, and I must have had a month of waking up every day with that extremely heavy energy. It's a different energy to Saturn. I'm a Capricorn. I know what the heaviness and the restriction of Saturn feels like. Pluto is like an all over body ache. It's very hard to put words to it, but I woke up every day for a month. It was excruciating, as I say in part one, and there was more work to do. There was more work to do, and I just want to apologize, and I must remind myself that we're never there yet. We're never there yet. It's an ongoing process while we're alive on this planet. It's an ongoing school, angelic school, I believe, healing the soul. So, you know, that very much showed me even more the ego, and that's Pluto's job, is to clean up the ego. And from January to the second pass, which is in less than 12 hours. Today's date is the 11th of August here in Australia, and in less than 12 hours, retrograde Pluto will again conjunct my sun, natal sun, and I'm feeling okay today. We do have a big full moon tomorrow, and I've got 5 other major aspects in my chart. So I don't know how I'm going to wake up tomorrow with the last super moon in Aquarius. So I thought I'd do it today, this video, and I've got some points to discuss. But I started with the ego. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. For the 14 years of that Pluto transit, with all the loss, you can go and have a look, everything I lost. And in July, I decided to take antidepressants. So I don't know what other people's opinions out there are, but I starved them off for 14 years, and I allowed that energy to move through my body. But that last month in July, I spoke to my doctor, and I'm going to give, and within 2 days, after 2 days of taking the antidepressants, I felt so much better. Now, I had Pluto transit my natal Mercury years back. Okay, it's in Capricorn at 14 degrees. So Pluto has already transited my natal Mercury in Capricorn in the 6th house. And I remember that. I remember the madness. I remember the dark thoughts, the darkness. It's as if Pluto brought up all the dark thoughts from the subconscious. Now, those thoughts, the victim thoughts, I mean, Capricorns, we have a negative mindset. I had a negative father. So, you know, I was well aware that the glass was always half empty. But this last part in July, I became very aware that those thoughts were separate to myself. I didn't believe those thoughts. I wasn't reacting to those thoughts. I wasn't caught up in those thoughts. But what I believe is that they were rolling thoughts. They were on repeat, 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 repeat. And as far as my spiritual studies go, I try to remain as the observer of all of this going on. Now, as soon as I took those antidepressants, those thoughts stopped. Now, I don't know whether they're sitting in the unconscious or what have you, but, you know, I was concerned because I want to move this energy through my body. I want to move it through I want the DNA to be upgraded. I want all of what Pluto brings. However, for me to function, because I have not been functioning the last 14 years with all of this energy coming up and out of my body, I haven't been able to work. You know, it really did immobilize me, this Pluto transit. And I'm glad, because I had the space and I had the time to be able to process this energy. Pluto's slow-moving planet, the energy moves slowly through the body and can last weeks, days. You know, it's like a wave. I find it was like a wave of energy, because you couldn't remain in that for 14 years. That's suicide, you know. And so I took the antidepressants. So just if anybody's out there, I did stick it out, but I'm glad I have, because I feel that I can move on, and I feel that those thoughts, the negative thoughts, especially the victim thoughts, you know, they've stopped, and I've started to walk into my power more so. But anyway, I've had another hit, so you'll never hear me say I'm done. I'm done. I'm fixed. That's just my ego speaking. So something else that I became very aware of since I made part 1 video in January. We're in August. What's that? 7 months or whatever. Is Pluto's work on the past lives of my soul. Now, I know that everything isn't linear. Everything's happening in the now moment, but I sort of reflect on past lives as consciousness. So I brought this consciousness in with me, and some people choose to call that past lives. So I became very aware in these last few months of how it all clicks together, because I'm on the tail end now of this transit. So I've had revelations in the last 7 months of, oh, right, that's what's needed to happen, so to speak, within myself. So you may observe, you know, your past lives and what have you, which is, you know, our ancestors as well. A fantastic revelation that I've had. In my natal chart, Pluto is in the 2nd house of money and values, conjunct Uranus, opposing Chiron and Saturn in Pisces in the 8th. So I've never had any money all my life. However, I went to private schools. I had access to dance classes every day. I never went without. My parents were workaholics. My father was such a big influence, being a Capricorn, Saturn father. And I had a poverty mentality. And with that came a victim mentality. Now, I've studied astrology, you know, for 39, 40 years. And Pluto has taught me so much more about astrology with this transit than what I'd learnt before about myself. And, you know, I read an article that somebody had written about Pluto in the 2nd house, and it was an aha moment. And I could see the pattern. I could see the patterning of the pattern that was given to me by my father, but also the pattern that I came in with Pluto in the 2nd house. The sabotaging when money came in, the playing the victim and the poor me, and those issues with money. So that all came to light just in the last month or so. And wow, I'm so grateful. But I hadn't seen that before in 40 odd years. You know, I really, I'm on the tail end of it. Now I understand the issues in my chart that Pluto has worked on. So it's not only the ego, the sun, all aspects of the chart have been worked on. Another aspect of my chart is I have Jupiter retrograde in Gemini in the 11th house of groups and the collective. And I've been a group person. I've been in 12-step programs since I was 23, 30 odd years, and church too. I went to Bible college, you know, different groups, sporting groups and what have you. And I was, as a codependent, I was unconsciously codependent on those groups, so that when I moved past the group on my growth process, I felt a lot of guilt and a lot of issues about leaving the group. So I would stay with the group basically until it all got very uncomfortable, and then I'd have to leave, you know, and half the time it wasn't on a good note. So, you know, that was something else that I learned. So that means I'm becoming more empowered within. You know, I know that if I join groups, because I've got Jupiter in the 11th house in Gemini and Gemini of communications, that when I've learned what I need to learn, it's okay for me to move on. I'm not abandoning the group. I am in my power and I'm able to move through. And that is a great revelation too. And that's empowering as well. The loss and the aloneness feelings, gone. And, you know, I struggled with that loss because I lost my son, my company, my home, my whole identity. I lost my whole identity. So, you know, and I carried that loss with me, and I would speak that loss. I've lost this, I've lost that to people, you know. And so, you know, since part 1 in January, the first pass, you know, that I'm looking to my future now. I'm walking forward now. The loss isn't bothering me anymore. And the aloneness is gone. You know, I've lived on my own these last 7 years, and every time I get to the door, there'd be this, I'm coming home alone. No, it's just me. Everybody's left me. They've abandoned me. you know, that was the Pluto transit, is coming to terms and processing and healing through aloneness. It's a very common human trait, you know, but when you have a Pluto transit, you really do see the shadows and the unconscious that many humans carry with them. I did mention in part 1 that I had it all together now. I was starting a meditation and dance school because self-worth, you know, is a big issue with Pluto. And I had many talents that I was born with, but they all came to naught because of the low self-esteem, lack of self-worth. And I was born into a highly dysfunctional, violent, shaming family. So that is, you know, that work's being done. That was a very long, slow process. I shouldn't say that being done, but the real deep stuff, the real heavy stuff that was stopping me from success and abundance in my life, you know, I've worked through that. So I had written a program last year, a 7-week program called Friends of the Water, and I have put in a lot of work. It was a real struggle because I didn't want to do the work because I'd had so many failures, so much loss. The energy was, oh, why bother? This is all going to fall down. You know, so I did learn that lesson of attachment to outcomes. So now I really know that I just do things for my own empowerment. Whatever happens on the other side of it happens. However, so in saying that, the Friends of the Water program hasn't taken off. It's quite a disciplined program, and it was driving me crazy. You know, that ego side trying to push myself out there, but there was no passion really. People weren't receiving it, and I felt like I was going around in circles. And then I saw your comments, and you know, my deepest desire was to be able to make videos on YouTube and be confident enough to. And when I gave the Friends of the Water program, you know, this last go on Facebook, I sort of had come to terms with the fact that if they don't want it, they don't want it. It doesn't mean that I'm a failure. It doesn't mean that it is even finished because I'm shelving it, because I'm sure people will be ready for it in a few years, because it's a high frequency program. And I've learned to live high frequency, speaking to my water and many other disciplines to stay in high frequency. So here I am, part 2, and I've decided to make videos on YouTube. And I feel really good about that. And I really want to do it because, you know, I couldn't get to I couldn't work. My passion had gone. That's something that with Pluto, you can either become really passionate, obsessively passionate, or it just disappears. And pre-Pluto to the Sun, I was such a passionate person. And then all of a sudden, I can't find the passion within me. And I can see the method in Pluto's madness, because that would have kept me busy doing stuff. And what was required of me was to be still and to not keep feeding my ego. So here I am now. And please subscribe to help me build my channel. It won't just be on astrology. It'll be on many topics that I'm inspired to do. So, you know, I'm feeling, dare I say it, really good about where everything's at, because stability, which Capricorn loves, there has been no stability with this Pluto transit. And, you know, because it's about fear as well. You know, Pluto brings up all the fears. And God, I must have had a lot of fears, a lifetime or a lifestyle of fear. That's how it's felt. So my goals have changed, and that's just happened in 7 months. Okay, so nothing's in concrete. Nothing's in concrete, and that is my desire, is to get that structure. I'm a life path 4. I really want that structure and stability to be able to help others and to serve, because my son is in the 6th house of service, and get on with it, you know. But when Pluto's around, there's no getting on with it. Pluto's the boss. And in saying that, it becomes so clear and so obvious that the ego loses out with Pluto. God, higher power, whatever you look to, higher angel, guides, whatever you look to, that is another dimension of yourself, helping you along the journey, you know, that's where I've had to give my power to. I don't give my power to other people, but, you know, my ego can be so, right, this is what I'm doing, right, here's the book, there's all written down, and this is the way it's going to go. Well, you know, this whole Pluto journey has taught me, no, that is not the way it's going to go. So, you know, we say surrender, let go, surrender, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. You know, we're always being told from teachers that is the path, and it is the path. But with Pluto, it's on steroids, because my will was not going to be the way. And I became so aware that if I pushed my will, whoa, was I going to hit a wall. So I think you level up spiritually with Pluto as well, if you're on that seeking path. If you're a seeker spiritually, that relationship with the higher self, God, becomes so much stronger, because I was powerless. Pluto rendered me powerless to everything except myself. And now I feel that I've got some balance in my mind. So it's very interesting. And I've become the observer. I've become the observer of the human project, Monique. So that's beautiful. That's a beautiful place to be at the end of the Pluto transit, the Sun ego's journey, is this beautiful relationship with my higher self, and this knowing that I cannot run off on my own will and ego, because it just doesn't work. It won't work. So I'm really happy to wait on God, as they say. Addictions. Now, I did touch on addictions, you know, with that Pluto, Uranus opposing Saturn, Pisces, wounded healer, Pisces, 8th house that I have. I've struggled with addictions all my life. And I started from 12, 13 years of age. And that was from PTSD. I'm sure that's why, you know, the addictive nature kicked off. And it's been a struggle. I haven't been one of these people that walked into the rooms of the 12-step program and just put everything down and skipped off into the sunlight. My will, you know, my will. And what happened from January to now, all the addictions came back. Smoking cigarettes. My God, I'd given up cigarettes years ago. I couldn't find any willpower to stop addictions. Now, I did read somebody else's experience, and they wrote that whatever Pluto is dissolving, burning up in the fire, transmuting, will come back tenfold before it's ready to leave. because I knew that it was not normal. I knew that, oh my God, all these addictions are here. And I was so aware that I just went, well, I'm not even going to fight it, because I can't find any fight within me. I couldn't find the power to stop. So I've never had that before. You know, I've never had that before. So there was awareness, and I'd read, because, you know, continue studying, that the addictions will come back tenfold before they leave. And I'm not smoking now, and it's all great. You know, I feel the willpower back again. But with that willpower, it's not, oh, addictions are bad. It's, I don't want to hurt myself like that. I don't want to be tied to that. I don't want that place, thing, substance to have any power over me. I want to be in my own power. And so it's different. It's not white knuckling it, so to speak. It's having it removed in a way that makes sense, so that the self is choosing to stop, rather than, you're an addict, you got to stop. Yeah. So that's wonderful. That's wonderful. I mean, it's ongoing. It always is. However, when you've been working on something like that for a long time, to be able to have more understanding and more freedom of thought around that issue, you know, I'm really grateful for that too. So I've come to the end of part 2, and I just want to add, this week we have had the loss of Olivia Newton-John, who we claim to be ours from Australia, even though she was born in the UK. Now, Chloe Latanza, Olivia's daughter, shares the same birthday as myself, the 17th of January. Different year, of course. Chloe's natal sun is at 27 degrees and 9 minutes. So we're about 20 minutes away from each other, our natal suns. Now, it is also written that Pluto's transit to the sun, there could be a death, usually the father, but in this case, it was Chloe's mother. So, yeah, I observed that. I thought that was interesting, that, you know, Chloe has Pluto conjuncting her natal sun now, and Olivia passed this week, and rest in peace. Such a beautiful woman, such a giving woman, and such a healer in her own right. So when they talk about the death, you know, with Pluto, in saying that, I have known a few Capricorns that have passed over, and I believe, in my opinion, that just because Pluto rules death and is transiting your sun, that doesn't mean you will die. However, if you don't get on board, then Pluto can't do its work. And so the Capricorns that I've known that have passed, they gave up. They didn't want to do the work. And God bless them. That's their choice. We have free will. It's a hard gig. Pluto transit the sun. It's only 1/3 of the human population will experience it in their life. And I'd wear it with honor, because it means you're an old soul and there's work to be done. But on the other side of the transit, towards the end, it does get easier. So I want to encourage all who are watching, it does get easier, and you can do it. If I can do it, anyone can do it. So thank you, everyone. I'm going to make part 3 in December, when Pluto is going forward again over my sun, early December. I'll make another video then. And at the end of that next video, I'll go through the changeover from Pluto in Capricorn to Pluto in Aquarius. So that will affect birthdays around, say, 17th of January through to about the 23rd, 24th of January. And what I think I will do, God willing, I will do is stick with it with Pluto, because I have Venus in Pluto in Aquarius. I have Venus in Aquarius. I have Mars in Aquarius in the 7th house. So I still have 2 more personal planets that Pluto is going to meet and transform those areas of my life. So I'm going to keep making videos to encourage Aquarians as well, because I couldn't find much online. And some days in a Pluto transit, it's soothing to study Pluto, because then it's like, oh, okay, I can get through today. This is normal. I'm not going mad. And it is soothing and can help. So thank you, everyone. Please subscribe and like the video, so I can build up the channel and get more people. We've got Pluto and Aquarius for 20 years, so I hope this video keeps being received in that time. And thank you so much. Bless you all.